Dr. Marcus Hale checked his wrist communicator again, though he already knew the message would not change. Still, the small digital screen lit up in the dim light of the exploration vessel, showing a new message from Lyra. "Meet me at the coordinates I sent. Don't bring anything, just come." Marcus raised an eyebrow and smiled to himself. Lyra had that way of giving instructions that were both mysterious and reassuring. She had a confidence that made people trust her, even when the situation seemed strange or risky. And he trusted her. Always had. The planet below, Elisera, stretched endlessly like a living painting. Its forests glowed faintly, bioluminescent in colors Marcus had never seen before, pale blues, greens, and violet flickers that pulsed as if the planet itself were breathing. Mountains floated in the distance, suspended mid-air by forces humans had not fully understood yet. Rivers sparkled in sunlight with hues that shifted with the angle of the twin suns, and the air was alive with the hum of alien insects and birds, whose feathers shimmered like liquid metal. Marcus adjusted his pack, taking a deep breath. Even after months of research, Elisara never failed to amaze him. And yet, today felt different. Today, the adventure wasn't about data collection or cataloging new species. It was personal. It was about trust. He activated the descent module and floated down toward the coordinates Lyra had sent. The forest below was dense, but there were no marked paths, only natural clearings and ancient alien trees whose bark looked like crystal. Marcus landed softly on a moss-covered rock, feeling the strange, gentle pulse beneath his feet. Every step seemed to send ripples through the energy of the planet itself. "Marcus." The voice was soft, melodic, and instantly recognizable. He turned, and there she was. Lyra stood at the edge of a small clearing, sunlight catching her hair and making it look almost silver. She smiled, the kind of smile that made someone forget all worries. She held out her hand casually, as if this wasn't some forbidden corner of a distant planet, but their own backyard. "Glad you came," she said. "Of course," Marcus replied, stepping forward. "Though I have to admit, this is unusual. Even for you." Lyra laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "You'll see. Relax. Leave everything to me." Marcus couldn't help but chuckle. Leave everything to her. That was always easier said than done. But looking at her now, standing so calmly amid the alien wilderness, he felt a small bubble of trust inflate in his chest. They began walking together, leaving the landing module behind. Lyra led the way through twisting vines and towering flora, moving with a grace Marcus envied. She seemed to know exactly where she was going, even though Marcus knew this forest was uncharted. Trees bent slightly as if recognizing her presence, and flowers turned to face her as they passed. "You really picked a special spot for this," Marcus said. "You'll see," Lyra replied, her tone hinting at secrets she wasn't ready to reveal yet. Hours seemed to pass in minutes. They crossed streams with water that shimmered like liquid mercury, and climbed small hills dotted with glowing mushrooms. Marcus noticed tiny creatures watching them from the treetops. They weren't threatening, more curious, like the forest itself wanted to know who these humans were. Finally, Lyra stopped. She turned to Marcus and held out her hand again. "Close your eyes." Marcus hesitated for a moment, then obeyed. He felt the ground shift slightly beneath him, and then a soft breeze brushed his face. There was the faint scent of something sweet and unfamiliar, like flowers and rain mixed together, but not quite like anything on Earth. "Okay, open them," Lyra whispered. Marcus did. He blinked. Before him was a lake unlike anything he had ever seen. It stretched wide, reflecting the twin suns above in a way that made the sky look like a giant, glowing painting. The surface of the water rippled lightly, though there was no wind. Along the edges, plants glowed faintly, and small, strange animals peeked from behind, rocks and reeds, watching them with curious eyes. The air itself seemed to shimmer with life. "It's beautiful," Marcus breathed. "It is," Lyra said softly. "And it's secret. I discovered it while scouting this region. I thought it would be the perfect place for us to talk, relax, maybe just enjoy the moment." Marcus felt a warmth in his chest. Lyra always had a way of turning even the most dangerous or strange circumstances into something comforting. And this was beyond comforting. It was magical. "I don't think anyone else has been here," he said. "Exactly." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Just us. And maybe something more." She didn't explain further, but the hint of mystery made Marcus even more curious. They set down their packs. Lyra had prepared a small area, a soft mat, and some supplies she had carried with her. Not much, just enough to enjoy a simple picnic. Marcus noticed the care she had taken in arranging everything, down to the smallest details. Even on a planet millions of light-years from Earth, she thought of comfort and beauty. As they sat, Marcus couldn't help but watch the lake. Tiny lights danced on the surface, reflecting like stars fallen into water. He felt a strange sensation, as if the lake itself were alive. Not just a body of water, but a living, breathing presence. He turned to Lyra, who noticed his gaze. "Do you feel it too?" he asked. Lyra smiled. "Yes. That's why I brought you here. I wanted you to see, and maybe understand, just a little, what makes Elisara special." They ate quietly for a while, letting the sounds and colors of the alien forest wash over them. Marcus felt a rare peace. In all his years of research, he had catalogued countless species, measured countless phenomena, and yet he had never experienced anything like this. Not just the beauty, but the feeling of being completely safe in a place so wild and unfamiliar. "Why did you choose a picnic?" he asked, finally breaking the comfortable silence. Lyra shrugged playfully. "Because sometimes it's nice to stop and just exist. Even humans, with all our ambition and science, need a moment like this. And maybe because I wanted to share it with someone who appreciates it, someone I trust." Marcus smiled. The compliment warmed him more than the sunlight. He realized that Lyra's ability to explore and survive in these alien worlds came not just from skill, but from intuition, empathy, and a deep connection to life itself. That combination, human ingenuity and heart, was something rare, even among explorers. As the suns began to set, painting the sky in shades of violet and orange, the lake responded. Its surface shimmered more brightly, as if reflecting the colors above but also enhancing them. Marcus reached out a hand to touch the water. It felt almost liquid and solid at the same time, warm in a way that reminded him of the sun on Earth. Tiny ripples spread outward, carrying soft pulses of light along the surface. Lyra watched him carefully. "The lake, it responds to us," she said. Marcus looked at her in surprise. "Responds? How do you mean?" "I don't know yet," Lyra admitted. "But it reacts to life, especially to intelligent life. I've been studying it. Today, I wanted you to see it too. Maybe together, we can understand it better." Marcus felt a thrill of anticipation. He had always believed humans were capable of great things, but standing here, he realized there was more. Humanity didn't just survive. Humanity adapted, explored, and connected even with worlds that seemed beyond understanding. And with Lyra by his side, he felt ready to discover whatever secrets Elisara had to offer. The forest around them grew quiet as night began to fall. Tiny lights floated in the air, bioluminescent insects and plants, creating a soft glow that made the clearing look like a dream. Marcus leaned back, letting himself fully take in the scene. For the first time in years, he felt completely at peace. And through it all, Lyra whispered again, almost to herself but loud enough for him to hear, "Relax. Leave everything to me." Marcus smiled. He had a feeling that, somehow, she was right. The adventure was just beginning. The morning sunlight on Elisara was soft, golden, and warm. It poured over the hidden lake like liquid honey, making the water shimmer and glow in colors Marcus had never seen before. Birds, if they could be called, that sang strange melodies that bounced off the rocks and trees. Each note seemed to ripple through the air as if the planet itself were composing music for anyone who dared to listen. Marcus stirred his pack and glanced at Lyra. She was already busy, moving with calm precision along the edge of the lake. Small, Sleek devices were spread around her, humming faintly with energy. She wasn't just enjoying the scenery, she was working with it. "Good morning," Marcus called out, trying not to startle her. Lyra turned, smiling. "Good morning, Marcus. Sleep well?" "Better than I have in weeks. This place, it's like nowhere else in the galaxy." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Exactly. That's why I brought you here. There's something special about this lake, and I think it's ready to show us a little of its secret." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Its secret?" "Lyra, you've already said it's unusual. I've never seen anything like it. What more could there be?" She laughed softly, but there was a glint in her eye that made him pause. "You'll see. Just trust me." With that, she gestured toward one of the small devices she had set up. It looked like a delicate lattice of thin metal wires, glowing faintly with light that shifted in colors from blue to green to violet. Marcus watched as she adjusted it carefully, almost like tuning a musical instrument. "What does it do?" he asked. "It listens and speaks," Lyra replied cryptically. "It helps us communicate with the lake. I think it's alive, intelligent. In some way we're only beginning to understand. The device just helps us translate its signals into something we can perceive." Marcus felt a shiver of excitement. Humanity had made first contact with alien life countless times, but never with a planetary intelligence itself. Not a species, not a civilization, but an ecosystem, a living, thinking lake. "Wait. Are you saying this lake can think?" he asked. "I'm saying it responds," Lyra corrected gently. "And sometimes, it reacts in ways that feel like intelligence. I want you to see it." She took his hand and led him closer to the lake. Marcus noticed tiny creatures peeking from behind glowing reeds and rocks. They watched with curious, almost intelligent eyes, but made no move to flee. The water itself seemed to shimmer in recognition, reacting subtly as they approached. "Just watch," Lyra said. She touched the surface lightly with her fingers. The water rippled, and suddenly, patterns of light appeared dancing, spiraling shapes that floated just above the surface. Marcus's mouth went dry. "It's beautiful," he whispered. "Yes," Lyra said softly. "And it's communicating." Marcus frowned. "Communicating? With us?" Lyra nodded. "In its own way. Look at the patterns. They aren't random. They move like a language or a song. I've been trying to understand it for months. I think it wants to interact with intelligent life." Marcus leaned closer. The patterns in the water shifted as if responding to his gaze, pulsing in time with his heartbeat. It felt alive, aware, and watching him, not in a threatening way, but in a curious, almost welcoming way. "Do you think it's safe?" he asked, though he felt a strange calm wash over him. "It's safe," Lyra said confidently, "but it's also testing us. I think it wants to know who we are, what humans are capable of. That's why I brought you here. To see if humanity can approach it with respect, patience, and understanding." Marcus felt a rush of pride. Humanity had always faced challenges, but this was unlike anything they had ever encountered. A living, thinking ecosystem. And somehow, humans were the first species it seemed willing to communicate with. Lyra handed him one of the devices. "Touch it lightly," she instructed. Marcus hesitated for a moment. He had worked with alien technology before, but never like this. Then he placed his hand on the lattice. A soft hum ran through his fingertips. The patterns on the lake shifted again, more intricate now, like they were responding to his very presence. "It's amazing," he breathed. "It's like it knows me, not just you," Lyra said, watching him closely. "It knows us. Humans are special here. Our ability to think, to create, to care. Maybe that's what it recognizes. You'll see more, if we stay patient." The hours passed almost unnoticed. Marcus and Lyra explored the edges of the lake together, observing how the light patterns changed in response to small movements, words, and gestures. Tiny creatures followed them curiously, but never interfered. Every ripple of water, every glimmer of light, seemed to carry intention. At one point, Lyra guided Marcus to a small cluster of glowing rocks near the center of the lake. "Stand there," she said. "Just observe." Marcus obeyed, feeling a strange thrill as he stood in the shallow water. The lake responded immediately. Waves of color radiated outward, forming intricate designs that seemed almost alive. The water glowed brighter beneath his feet, forming shapes that resembled constellations. "It's welcoming us," Marcus whispered. Lyra nodded. "Or testing us. Sometimes the difference is small. But humans have a way of showing respect. I think it recognizes that, for the first time in his life, Marcus felt truly insignificant, and yet immensely important at the same moment. The universe was vast and full of wonders, but here, at this hidden lake, he felt the unique capability of humanity to explore, to understand, to connect. As they continued observing, Lyra began adjusting her devices again. Small lights floated above the water, in patterns that mirrored the lake's own signals. Marcus realized she wasn't just watching the lake, she was interacting with it, carefully tuning her equipment to translate its language into something humans could perceive. "You're amazing," Marcus said quietly. "How do you do this?" Lyra smiled. "I don't know. I just listen, and I trust. Sometimes that's all you need when dealing with something this intelligent. You can't force it, you can't rush it. You have to let it respond in its own time." Marcus nodded slowly. He realized she was right. Humanity often tried to dominate, to conquer, to control. But here, the best approach was patience, curiosity, and respect. And maybe that was why the lake seemed to welcome them. Suddenly, the water pulsed brighter, sending a wave of warmth and light through the shallow area where they stood. Tiny creatures scattered for a moment, then returned as if reassured. The patterns above the water grew more intricate, almost like symbols or letters forming in midair. Marcus felt a strange connection, as if the lake were speaking directly to him, not with words, but with understanding. "I think it likes you," Lyra whispered. "Me?" Marcus asked, surprised. "It likes humans," she said, smiling. "And humans who approach it with care. That means you, me, anyone who respects life." For the first time, Marcus felt a deep sense of purpose. Humanity had always dreamed of exploring the stars, of finding new worlds, of proving its place in the universe. But here, it wasn't just about exploration. It was about connection, building bridges with life, unlike anything we've ever known. As the twin suns moved higher, casting golden reflections on the lake, Lyra looked at Marcus and whispered, "Relax. Leave everything to me." Marcus laughed softly. He had done exactly that, and yet, somehow, he felt more awake, more aware, and more alive than ever before. The lake's glow shifted again, and Marcus realized that today had only been the beginning. The lake had chosen to reveal itself, to test them, to welcome them, and in return, humanity through Lyra and himself had shown its courage, patience, and creativity. The hidden lake was no longer just a secret spot for a picnic. It was a gateway, a living classroom, and a reminder that humans, even on distant worlds, could inspire awe not just in themselves, but in the universe around them. Marcus took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the planet under his feet. He looked at Lyra, who smiled knowingly, and whispered once more, "Just wait. There's more to see." And Marcus believed her. The day began quietly, but Marcus felt an undercurrent of anticipation. The hidden lake seemed to shimmer more brightly than ever, as if sensing something different in the air. He followed Lyra along the shoreline, his boots sinking slightly into the soft moss that lined the edges. Every step seemed to hum with life, a vibration that resonated through his body and filled him with energy. Lyra's focus was absolute. She adjusted her devices, calibrated them against the lake's subtle shifts, and studied the pulsing light patterns with the care of a master craftsman. Marcus admired her patience. Even after months of exploring Elisara together, he still couldn't understand how she seemed to know exactly what to do. "Marcus," she said softly, without looking up, "today, I think we're going to understand it truly." Marcus felt a thrill run down his spine. "Understand what? Exactly?" "The lake," she replied, finally meeting his gaze. "It's alive. Intelligent. I've felt it for months. But today, I think it's ready to respond to us in a way we can understand." Marcus swallowed. "And you think humans can handle that?" Lyra's smile was calm, confident. "We already are. That's why we're here." They stopped at a shallow section near the center of the lake. Marcus could feel the water's energy pulsing around him. It wasn't threatening, more like a heartbeat. Slow, steady, alive. Lyra handed him one of the devices, now glowing with soft golden light. "This will help us communicate," she explained. "Don't think of it like a translator. Think of it as a bridge. A way to send thoughts, feelings, and intentions to the lake, and receive something back." Marcus nodded, though his mind raced. Humans were brilliant, yes, but they had never encountered a consciousness that wasn't a single creature or species. This was a planetary intelligence, an entire ecosystem with awareness. He placed his hand lightly on the device. The hum was soft but steady, and almost immediately, the water reacted. Light spiraled up from the lake's surface, forming shapes that glowed like constellations. Marcus's heart raced. "Do you see that?" Lyra whispered. Marcus could only nod. The patterns weren't random. They moved with purpose, shifting and pulsing in response to the device and to their presence. It felt as though the lake were alive, watching them, learning about them, and trying to speak. "It's communicating," Marcus breathed. "But how do we understand it?" Lyra's eyes gleamed with excitement. "By feeling it. By listening. Let it show you." Marcus closed his eyes and let his senses focus. The vibrations of the lake ran up his arms, through his chest, into his head. Colors, shapes, and gentle pulses of energy filled his mind. He sensed curiosity, caution, and recognition. The lake wasn't just responding, it was trying to connect. He opened his eyes, and the patterns shifted again, now forming what looked like intricate geometric shapes floating above the water. Marcus felt a strange joy. It was like the lake was smiling, welcoming them. "This is incredible," he said softly. "Yes," Lyra said, her voice filled with awe. "And that means we're doing it right. The lake recognizes intention, respect, and thought. It knows we mean no harm." For a moment, Marcus felt small and insignificant. Humanity had always imagined reaching the stars, exploring distant worlds. But standing here, interacting with a sentient ecosystem, he realized how far they had come. And yet, the lake was not just responding, it was teaching them, inviting them into a dance of understanding that spanned biology, energy, and thought itself. Suddenly, the water pulsed brighter, and tiny waves rippled outward, forming a circular dome of light around them. Marcus stepped back instinctively, but Lyra's hand on his shoulder stopped him. "Stay calm," she said. "It's welcoming us into its center. It trusts us enough to let us in." Marcus felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness as they moved into the dome. The water beneath their feet glowed warmly, and the patterns above shifted in ever more intricate designs. He could feel the lake's attention focusing entirely on them. "Marcus," Lyra whispered, "this is the moment. It's reaching out." As if on cue, the lake sent a gentle surge of energy through the device Marcus held. He gasped. It wasn't painful, far from it. It felt like a warm hand resting on his mind. Thoughts, images, and emotions flooded him. He saw vast forests, shimmering rivers, and countless creatures living in perfect harmony. He felt the lake's joy, curiosity, and desire to connect. It's showing me everything, Marcus whispered. I can feel its world. Yes, Lyra said, her eyes wide with wonder. It's sharing itself with us. And it trusts us to understand, to learn, and to respect. Marcus realized something profound. Humanity had always measured intelligence by tools, language, or technology. But here, intelligence was alive in water, plants, and creatures all working together as one conscious being. It was a lesson in humility, courage, and the unique ability of humans to connect, understand, and respect. He looked at Lyra. This is beyond anything we could have imagined. It's beautiful. 5. From Muse Crive. From Muse Crive. From Muse Crive. From Muse Crive. 5 Crive. 5 Crive. 5 Crive. 5 Crive. 5 Crive. 5 Crive. She smiled, her eyes reflecting the lake's shimmering light. It's more than that. It's a chance for humans to show what we are capable of. Curiosity. Empathy. Creativity. This lake doesn't just test us. It recognizes the best of us. The dome of light expanded, forming delicate arches above the water. Marcus noticed shapes in the patterns that reminded him of human symbols, triangles, circles, spirals, though they were clearly not made by humans. Yet somehow, he understood them intuitively. It's learning us too, he said. It's adapting to our perception. Yes, Lyra said softly. That's the intelligence I was talking about. It's not just alive, it's aware, adaptive, and willing to interact. And we are the first humans to ever experience this. For a while, they simply stood in silence, letting the lake speak to them in pulses, light, and energy. Marcus felt a deep sense of awe. Humanity had always believed it could explore, conquer, and understand. But here, they weren't conquering. They were learning, listening, and respecting. And the lake, in return, was sharing a part of itself, trusting them with its secrets. Finally, Lyra spoke again. I think it wants something from us now. A gesture of trust. Something small, but meaningful. Marcus nodded. What should we do? Just be ourselves, Lyra replied. Show it that we are curious, careful, and kind. It will understand. Marcus raised his hands slightly, palms open. Lyra mirrored him. The lake pulsed in response, sending waves of gentle energy around them. He felt a connection that went beyond words, a mutual recognition of life, thought, and respect. The patterns on the water grew even more intricate, forming shapes that reminded Marcus of stars and constellations. He realized the lake was inviting them to explore further, to continue this dance of understanding, and to become part of its world in a way humans had never imagined. It's amazing, he whispered again, almost to himself. We're actually talking to it. Yes, Lyra said, her smile calm and radiant. And this is only the beginning. As the twin suns began to set, painting the sky in vibrant shades of orange and violet, Marcus felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Humanity had always reached for the stars, but this connection, this trust, this first contact with an intelligence unlike any other, was proof of what humans could achieve. He looked at Lyra, who had been quietly observing the lake all this time. Thank you, he said, softly, for bringing me here, for trusting me. She smiled, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. No, thank you. Humanity, and you, specifically, deserve to see this, to know what we are capable of when we combine curiosity, patience, and respect. Marcus nodded, taking a deep breath as he looked back at the glowing lake. He knew that life on Elisara would never be the same again. They had made first contact with a planetary intelligence. Not as conquerors, not as invaders, but as learners, explorers, and friends. The lake pulsed gently under their feet, a silent promise of more wonders to come. Marcus felt his heart swell with pride, not just for himself or for Lyra, but for humanity. They were capable of greatness in ways that went far beyond technology or strength. Here, on this hidden lake, they had proven it. And Lyra, as always, whispered in his ear, soft but confident, "Relax. Leave everything to me." Marcus smiled. He did. The adventure was far from over. The morning air over the hidden lake was calm. Almost too calm. Marcus and Lyra had spent the previous night at the edge of the water, documenting the patterns and pulses the lake had shared with them. Sleep had been light for both, filled with dreams of glowing forests and the soft hum of water that felt alive. "This place never stops surprising me," Marcus said, stretching and looking at the shimmering water. "I feel like we're living in someone else's imagination." Lyra smiled, adjusting the straps of her backpack. "That's because we are. This planet and this lake are alive in ways humans are only beginning to understand. And today, I think it wants to challenge us." "Challenge us?" Marcus echoed, frowning. "Yes," Lyra said softly. "The lake communicates through energy and intention. Sometimes that means tests. Tests of patience, of creativity, of teamwork. We've earned its trust enough to be tested further." Marcus felt a thrill. Humanity had always thrived on challenges, but the thought of a planetary intelligence putting them to the test was exhilarating and intimidating. Lyra led him deeper into the center of the lake. The shallow water glowed beneath their feet, sending gentle ripples across their skin. Marcus noticed how the light patterns shifted with every step, almost as if the lake were reading their movements. Suddenly, a dark shadow spread across the water, and a gust of wind swept over the lake. Marcus looked up, alarmed. The twin suns were still high, but clouds, strange, heavy, and almost metallic in color, gathered rapidly. The peaceful morning had turned into a brewing storm in minutes. "It's the lake?" Marcus asked nervously. Lyra nodded. "Partly. It's testing us. The lake controls its environment to some extent. Storms like this aren't harmful if we handle them properly, but they are designed to see how we respond under pressure." Marcus swallowed. Humans had faced storms on Earth, yes. But this was different. The energy of the lake flowed through the water, through the air, through the devices they carried. It wasn't just weather, it was an intelligent test. "Okay," Lyra said firmly. "Step 1. Remain calm. Step 2. Work with me, not against the lake. Step 3. Adapt." Marcus nodded, trying to steady his nerves. "All right. What now?" Lyra began adjusting her devices, the lattice structures glowing brighter. Tiny lights floated above the water, forming intricate patterns that mirrored the lake's energy. The storm's wind whipped around them, but Lyra's hands moved with precision, weaving a protective energy field above the shallow area. Marcus felt warmth radiate from the lattice as it hummed softly. "Focus on your connection to the lake," she instructed. "It's sending us signals. We just have to listen." Marcus placed his hands on the device, feeling the pulses of energy travel up his arms. The lake's patterns shifted, reacting to their presence. He realized that this was a partnership, not a command. The lake wasn't trying to harm them, it was teaching them. The storm grew stronger. Rain fell in shimmering sheets that sparkled like liquid crystals. Gusts of wind bent the alien trees, and small waves formed in the lake's shallow areas. Marcus felt fear tugging at him, but then Lyra's calm voice reminded him of the rules. Remain calm. Work together. Adapt. He took a deep breath, focusing on the energy flowing from the lake into the device. Patterns formed above the water, glowing brighter and shifting faster. Marcus realized they were puzzles, sequences of light and movement that required precise timing and careful observation. If they failed, the storm would grow stronger. Lyra's voice cut through the roar of wind. "Step 1, Marcus. Match the sequence. Watch the lights. Anticipate the next pulse, and respond with the device." Marcus nodded and raised his hands, moving them in rhythm with the glowing patterns. His heart pounded. The sequence seemed impossible at first, changing faster than he could think, but slowly, he began to feel the rhythm, the subtle guidance from the lake itself. Each pulse carried intention, curiosity, encouragement, patience. Good, Lyra said, her eyes shining. Now, step 2. Work together. She mirrored his movements, and together, they created a synchronized response. The energy pulses became brighter, forming arches above the water that reflected both of them. Marcus felt a surge of triumph. They weren't just surviving, they were communicating, proving that humans could meet the lake's challenges with creativity and trust. But the storm was not done. The wind whipped harder, and a sudden surge of water rose in a small wave toward them. Marcus stumbled slightly, but Lyra steadied him. Adapt, she said calmly. Flow with it. Don't fight it. Marcus followed her advice, letting the device guide the water's pulse instead of resisting it. Slowly, the wave stabilized, bending harmlessly around them. The lake's energy seemed to shimmer in approval, and Marcus felt a deep sense of connection. This wasn't just survival, it was learning to coexist with intelligence beyond human understanding. As the storm continued, the lake presented a new challenge. Patterns of light shot outward, forming intricate shapes that looked like bridges spanning the water. Marcus realized they needed to move across them, step carefully, and maintain the connection. One wrong step could disrupt the flow, making the storm stronger. Are you ready? Lyra asked. Marcus nodded, feeling both fear and exhilaration. Let's do it. They stepped onto the glowing paths, moving in perfect harmony with the lake's pulses. Each step required attention, patience, and trust, not just in themselves, but in the intelligence of the lake. The creatures watching from the edges of the lake followed curiously, never interfering. It felt like all of Elisara was observing, silently judging their capability to respect and adapt. Halfway across, a wave of energy surged unexpectedly. Marcus felt the pulse through his entire body, and he stumbled. Lyra reached out, steadying him with a firm hand. Focus, Marcus. Trust the lake, and trust yourself. He did. He matched his movements with the light, letting instinct guide him. The wave passed harmlessly, and the storm began to calm slightly. The energy pulses shifted to gentle, welcoming patterns. Marcus and Lyra reached the center of the lake safely, their breaths heavy, hearts racing. The water around them glowed softly, the storm now dissipating entirely. The light patterns above formed a radiant circle, a kind of reward for their courage and skill. Marcus looked at Lyra, who smiled, proud and calm. We did it, he said, still catching his breath. We passed the test. Yes, she said softly. The lake wanted to see if humans could work together, adapt, and respect its intelligence. And we did. We proved that humanity can rise to challenges, even worlds away from home. Marcus felt a swell of pride, not for himself, but for humans everywhere. Lyra had been right. The lake wasn't just a challenge. It was a reflection of what humans could achieve. Ingenuity, patience, cooperation, and respect for life beyond themselves. The water began to shimmer with soft, warm light, forming intricate designs that floated above the surface. Marcus realized these patterns weren't just communication, they were gratitude. The lake recognized their effort and rewarded them with understanding, beauty, and trust. Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder. See? You didn't need to fight it, control it, or rush it. You just needed to listen, adapt, and trust. That's what makes humans capable of great things, even in worlds like this. Marcus smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. I think I understand now. Humans aren't just explorers or survivors. We're learners, creators, connectors. We can adapt, communicate, and even inspire trust from something far greater than ourselves. Yes, Lyra said, her voice filled with warmth. And this lake is just the beginning. There's so much more to learn, and it's giving us a chance to grow together. For a while, they stood quietly, watching the patterns shift above the water. The storm had passed, leaving behind a calm, radiant lake that seemed to pulse gently in time with their hearts. Marcus felt a strange mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. He had faced something no human had ever faced before and had succeeded. As the sun began to set, casting twin golden reflections across the water, Marcus looked at Lyra. "Thank you," he said, softly, "for trusting me, for guiding me, and for showing me this." Lyra smiled. "No, thank you. Humanity deserves to see what we are capable of when we approach the unknown with respect, courage, and curiosity." Marcus nodded. The lake pulsed warmly beneath their feet, almost as if agreeing with her words. He realized that today, they hadn't just passed a test, they had earned a partnership with something greater than themselves. And once again, Lyra whispered, confident and calm, "Relax. Leave everything to me." Marcus smiled, closing his eyes and letting the energy of the lake wash over him. He did. The hidden lake had tested them, and humans had passed. The adventure was far from over. But now, Marcus knew with certainty, humanity could face the unknown and succeed. Not through force, but through empathy, courage, and trust. And Elisara's hidden lake was ready to show them more. The hidden lake lay calm under the soft light of Elisara's twin suns. The storm from the previous day had disappeared entirely, leaving only shimmering reflections on the water and a quiet hum that seemed to echo through the surrounding forest. Marcus and Lyra stood at the center, still glowing faintly from the lake's energy, feeling a connection that neither had fully understood until now. This is beyond anything I imagined," Marcus said, breaking the silence. He looked around at the gentle ripples, the glowing creatures, and the intricate patterns floating above the water. "I never thought humanity could meet something like this, not just survive, but be trusted by it." Lyra smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "It's not just about survival. It's about understanding, about respect. That's what humans bring that no other species can. And the lake, it recognizes that." Marcus took a deep breath, letting the energy from the lake flow through him. Every pulse of light, every ripple of water felt like a heartbeat syncing with his own. The lake wasn't just alive, it was aware, adaptive, intelligent, and somehow it had chosen them humans as partners. "You think it understands us fully?" Marcus asked. Lyra nodded slowly. "It doesn't see us like we see each other, but it knows our intentions, our curiosity, and our desire to connect. That's enough. It trusts us to be part of its world." Marcus looked down at his hands, resting on the glowing device that had been their bridge to the lake. He realized something profound. Humanity had always sought to explore, conquer, or document new worlds. But this was different. They were not intruders or conquerors. They were learners, communicators, and partners. The lake pulsed gently, sending waves of warmth through the shallow water. Tiny creatures peered from the edges, blinking softly in the glow. Patterns of light formed above the surface, more intricate than anything Marcus had seen so far. Shapes that resembled constellations, spirals, and symbols that seemed almost familiar, yet entirely alien. "It's welcoming us," Marcus whispered. "Yes," Lyra said. "And it's rewarding us. Not with treasure or resources, but with understanding, knowledge, a chance to witness its world, and maybe even protect it in ways humans alone could." Marcus felt a swell of pride. Humanity had always been capable of great feats, but this was beyond technology or strength. Here, on a distant planet, humans had proven their creativity, empathy, and courage. They had met a challenge unlike any other, and had not only survived, it had earned trust. "Do you think it wants something from us now?" Marcus asked cautiously. Lyra shook her head. "Not demands. It wants partnership, cooperation. It has shared itself with us because it believes humans can act with care. The real test isn't over, it's ongoing. But today, we've shown that humans are capable of more than curiosity or cleverness. We can form a bond that matters. Marcus felt the magnitude of her words. It was as if the lake, the forest, and even the creatures around them were alive witnesses to humanity's potential. And in that moment, he understood something he had never realized before. Humans weren't just explorers. They were capable of connection across the universe. Lyra reached out and touched his hand. Marcus, come with me. There's something I want to show you. He followed her to a small peninsula at the edge of the lake. Here, the water glowed softly, almost like liquid moonlight. Tiny arcs of energy hovered above the surface, moving as if alive. Lyra pointed toward the center of the light display. Marcus gasped. There, rising from the water, were shapes formed entirely of energy and light. They resembled intricate towers and spires, delicate bridges connecting floating platforms. It was a miniature city, glowing softly, alive with movement. The patterns seemed to pulse in rhythm with the lake itself. It's creating a reflection of itself? Marcus asked. Yes, Lyra said. I think it's showing us what it is, its complexity, its beauty, its life. It's not just a lake. It's a world, a network, a consciousness, and it's letting us witness it because it trusts humans to appreciate it. Marcus stepped closer, fascinated. The light city shimmered as if acknowledging his presence. Tiny pulses traveled from the patterns to him, warm and reassuring. He realized that this was more than a display. It was an invitation to learn, to connect, and to participate. I never imagined something like this existed, Marcus said softly. And now, we get to be part of it? Lyra nodded. Yes. And the best part is, it will grow with us. We'll learn from it. And it will learn from us. Together, humans and this intelligence can create something neither could achieve alone. Marcus felt a rush of hope, for all the dangers of space, for all the unknowns of distant worlds. Here was proof of what humans could accomplish, not with weapons, or machines, or conquest, but with curiosity, empathy, and courage. The patterns shifted again, forming shapes that seemed to respond to Lyra and Marcus's presence. Marcus realized that every movement, every intention, every thought mattered. This intelligence wasn't just alive. It was responsive, aware, and capable of forming relationships. Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder. We've passed every test, Marcus. Not because we were perfect, but because we trusted, adapted, and respected. And that's what humans do best. That's why the lake chose us. Marcus smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. He thought about all the humans who had dreamed of exploring the stars, imagining what they might find, yearning to prove themselves. And now, here he was proof that humanity could rise to the greatest challenge of all, forming a connection with life unlike anything on Earth. The twin suns dipped lower in the sky, casting golden reflections across the glowing water. Marcus felt the lake's energy pulse softly beneath his feet, warm and steady. The creatures at the edge blinked, their glowing eyes reflecting the same trust he felt in the lake itself. Lyra, Marcus said quietly. I finally understand what you meant when you said, leave everything to me. Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the radiant patterns above the lake. Yes. Trust. Not just in me, but in ourselves, and in humanity. We don't have to control everything. Sometimes, the best we can do is listen, adapt, and cooperate. That's how we achieve greatness. Marcus nodded, feeling a sense of peace he had never known. The hidden lake was no longer a secret, mysterious place. It was a partner, a teacher, and a symbol of everything humanity could accomplish. The patterns above the water began to shift again, forming shapes that looked almost like letters. Marcus leaned closer, trying to interpret them. Though he could not understand the full meaning, he felt the intention clearly. Welcome, trust, and growth. Lyra squeezed his hand. It's giving us its gift, its trust. And with that, we can continue to explore, learn, and grow together. Marcus's heart swelled. Humans had always dreamed of touching the stars, of discovering new worlds. But this was something greater. This was a true partnership with the universe itself. He looked around at the glowing lake, the tiny creatures, and the miniature energy city forming above the water. He realized that the adventure was far from over. There would be more challenges, more lessons, more wonders, but they had already proven something essential. Humans could rise to meet the unknown not by force, but by courage, creativity, and respect. Lyra leaned close, whispering once again, "Relax. Leave everything to me." Marcus smiled, feeling the lake's warmth and the bond between them. He did. For the first time, he realized that humanity's strength was not in conquering, but in connecting, understanding, and inspiring trust even across worlds and life forms unimaginable. The lake pulsed gently, like a heartbeat, and Marcus understood that this was just the beginning. Humanity had not only reached a new world, they had earned a friendship with life itself. He sat down beside Lyra, watching the glow of the lake spread across the water like liquid stars. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant shades of violet, gold, and orange. The patterns above the lake shimmered and danced, a promise of more wonders to come. And in that moment, Marcus felt a deep, unshakable truth. Humanity had achieved something extraordinary. They had proven that they could face the unknown, respect it, and even form bonds that transcended species, planets, and imagination itself. The hidden lake had chosen them. Humanity had risen to meet it, and together, they would explore a universe filled with infinite possibilities.